Right, hi everybody. I'm going to show you how to do the final step for this particular project, which is adding the sort of the patrolling mechanism to an object. So what I have is a capsule, which is right here. And if you look at my screen, you can see that if you look at this area here, it has these what are called waypoints. And so I've labeled them on this side. If you go to this side here, I just made an empty game object. And then all I did was put empty game objects around. So you can see that, of course, in Unity, everything has a transform, which is right here. And I just kind of drew the area in the map where I wanted this object to go. So I'll show you really quickly what it looks like in the game, which is again just right here. So I have my character. Again, I'm going to try to avoid the hazards, but you can see, well, that it's going in this kind of square motion here. So if I follow it around, and again, all of the same things apply. If I run into it, it treats it like a hazard, and restarts the level. So the first step is I just made a couple of transforms right here. So if I go to this, again, in your map, wherever you have your character, you can put these waypoints. And then this is what's going to go in the array and the transform. So if you use my script, which I've called waypoint control right here, you can see that it has like a move speed and has some other variables that we're not going to focus on too much. Like I have it to loop or ping pong. I just put it on loop. So it just keeps going. And then all I did on the script was drag in each waypoint and it would just go between those points. Now, one thing that I should do is because I have this capsule right here, you can see it has this. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag it into my prefabs folder like this so I can just reuse it. The only thing that you'd want to know is once you have done that, like if you go to scene 2, you're going to have to make new waypoints for each scene. So it's something that when I was going through the book, I was finding like I was having a lot of issues with like the way that it's been sort of illustrated there, and it works, but to me this makes a little bit more sense just to get started with. So that's why I have these waypoints that I just labeled like this. So if we go into the script, and again it's just called waypoint patrol like this, and you can see that again I've labeled these points, it has its move speed. And you can use this script, and what happens is it's essentially looking for these transforms at the waypoints. So this is a script that I had used prior to the textbook that I had found that worked. So I looked on the internet, found some different things. You can see that it has a for loop here, which is how it goes into this index. So one thing that we'll review is you start out at a zero index, and what it's saying is that if this is less than the length of the array, so you can put as many waypoints as you want, then it will increment up and go to the next waypoint until it gets to the end of the array. So that's one of the first concepts. Again, looking at this script, you can see we have our if statements, and then we also have a for else loop, or a for each loop here that you can use. So that's what you're going to see. Um, what's going to happen in the script. So that's what I'm going to post. So the way that you would set it up is once you have the script, you would import it, you would add it to whatever hazard you want to be patrolling around the scene. You could also probably pick one of these and have it patrol if you wanted, as long as you added the waypoint. And you can also see here that you can index the array. So it just gives you a blank, at least the script just gives you kind of a blank number, and you can put as many points as you want. So you could just have one, or you could have two, you could have three or four, you could draw any shape you want. And it is a little tough sometimes to draw like here to see these points. So it can also be maybe helpful to put some sort of object here so you can actually have like a visual frame of reference and it can go between them. You could remove the collider or something like that. But that's how you would add the waypoints and get the patrolling object. There's a lot of ways to do this, but this was the way that I found made the most sense to go through. If you had a lot of objects doing this, it might kind of weigh down your scene a little bit. But overall, I think that this for our game, I have like one or two patrollers, so this is pretty efficient. All right, so I hope that this helps. If you have any questions, just let me know. And I hope you have a great day.